Hello, my curious souls. Welcome in or welcome back. It's so lovely to have you here. I'm welcoming you into this space. My name is Amanda. It is an honor to read for you today. I hope you are all doing well and January was good to you. Let me know in the comments how January was, and if any of the messages from the previous monthly reading, I'd love to know how those resonated for you and how those played out in the month of January, if at all. In doing these readings as a tarot reader on YouTube, it's so general when I read the cards because I don't have that person in real life to bounce these stories off of to see how they're resonating and if they're resonating. So it's always lovely to hear when these messages are resonating with you and when these readings are resonating with you, and also how. So if you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to hear it in the comment section, and that just helps me know that I'm on the right track, and it might even help someone else in their story as well. In today's Pick a Card Tarot reading, we are going to take a look at the month ahead, the month of February. So if you have not yet grabbed a beverage of choice and found a comfortable seat, do so now and make this 20 to 30 minutes your time to settle in and receive the messages that Spirit wants to share with you today. With an open mind and an open heart. As always with my readings, please trust your intuition and decide what feels best, and lovingly leave the rest for who it is meant for. So if you feel ready to dive into your reading today, the timestamps for each one of these soul paths are in the description box. However, for those who like official introductions, let me introduce you to the soul paths right now. For Soul Path 1, we have Tarot in Wonderland with the red carnelian. For Soul Path 2, we have Tarot over the Rainbow with the Dragonstone. And for Soul Path 3, we have the Landscapes Tarot with the Clear Quartz. So when you feel called and ready, click on the timestamp for your reading in the description box to jump straight into it, and we will see you over there. Hello, Soul Path 1. Welcome into your reading. You chose the Tarot in Wonderland with the red carnelian stone. I feel like there's a soul expression coming through. This is very sun-like energy, very warm energy. This feels like somebody is trying to step into their most expressive self. There's a confidence that is building here. So whether you're starting to feel that or you've been working on that, I feel like the month of February could be a month where you start seeing results from the efforts that you are investing in yourself. And you're feeling really good about yourself in the month of February. I feel like you're also attracting things to you, and this may come as a surprise because it's things that maybe you have dreamed about or thought about or felt that you would like to have, but up until this point you haven't really seen it. It's been a bit of a faraway dream, or at least a faraway thought, like, oh, it'll happen later, or it'll happen years down the road. I feel like for some, there may be something that is attracted to you now because of this effort that you're putting into yourself, and because you are shifting into a higher soul purpose or a higher self-expression and a little more confidence. You're no longer settling for less, you're kind of going big here. And because of that, you are accepting new things into your life. You are exploring, you're getting creative and curious. And it's very childlike energy as well. So maybe some of you are doing inner child work that is bringing back some things from your past in the best way possible. So hobbies and activities, maybe even friends that you once enjoyed, are coming back into your life in some way. And they may not necessarily be something that you do every day or someone that you see every day, but maybe it's a photo that you come across and you have these memories. There's a nostalgia coming through. And you're remembering something about your childhood that you have lost or that has been sitting on the back burner. I feel like those things are coming through in the month of February. So before we get into the tarot, we are going to pull an energy card for you that will give me a little bit of insight on how you're ending the month of January and what you're kind of starting the month out with energetically. For Soul Path 1, please. I'm seeing the Sun card in my mind's eye, but I also see some challenge cards. Number 5 is coming through. So it's like you're stepping into the light again after some dark period or some challenges. Okay, speaking of the darkness, but also speaking of the light, this is really cool energy. So we have the Devil here with the Temptation card. So there are definitely some things that I feel you are working on and have been working on. And I feel like these are deep-rooted cycles, behaviors, habits that simply aren't working for you anymore. And something that you haven't been able to detach yourself from in the past. I feel like there's an exhaustion, but it's not like a mental exhaustion or a physical exhaustion. It's just you're tired of the same old results from doing something or being with somebody that isn't willing to change or isn't changing in the way that you need in order to be your best self. So this could be the self-doubt or the lack of self-esteem that you've been working on, or this could be a habit that has kept you in this lower energy and not being able to step out and share your light. Speaking of light, on the bottom of this deck, we have the the Hope card, but it is very light and bright. Again, this feels very solar plexus chakra, but this is also the Star card in the traditional tarot. And there is a being, I'm not sure if you can see the being, but there is a being in this light. So it's like you are finding yourself through this period of time, possibly after suffering in silence, and not really, again, I'm getting that I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this thinking. I'm tired of the way this is going. There's a stagnancy or a stuckness that is coming through. And I feel like you've been working really diligently on breaking the ties, breaking the chains, of really breaking yourself free. There's a freedom coming through. And because of that, you're able to express in ways that you never have before. You're able to explore and get curious and playful more than you ever have in the past. So this is really beautiful energy. And I think that the hope is something that you don't see. And the light is something that is going to be revealed to you in the month of February. And I feel you're supported in this effort, whether that is with people around you, there's a supportive community, or maybe friends or family that are around you supporting these efforts. Or this could also be spiritual support as well, where you are being guided and assisted by your spirit guides, your spirit team, guardian angels, etc. But there is a ring around this person being protected in their efforts to move towards the light. And this is also, with being the Star, it's also about healing. It's also about finding your light, finding your North Star, and navigating yourself towards that, navigating yourself to a destination that is like a dream come true. It is stuff of dreams. And it's also wisdom that you're gaining in this process. So this is really good energy. I'm really loving this for you. And let's get into more detail with some oracle cards here. And we're going to look at main themes. Some main themes. We've got 2 here. We'll do 1 more, please. Thank you. Okay. So, first card out, we have belief. Examine existing beliefs. I think you're doing that. And if you're not doing that, I think that this is a month that you're going to start doing that. Because there is a temptation to go back into old ways, old habits, old situations that are simply going to keep you in a loop or keep you in a state of stagnancy. a state of not changing, a state of cycles. And it's like a hamster in a wheel. You're putting all this effort in and nothing is changing. The landscape's not changing. So I do feel that that's definitely something that you're either working towards already or you will be in the month of February. And I just want to point out the candle here, which is more light. So right now it could just be a little glimmer of, I don't really like this, or this is really frustrating for me, or I don't know if I'm really aligned to this anymore, or I don't feel like I believe that story anymore, or I don't want to believe that story. So there's a new belief being shaped, and you're putting in the effort to catch yourself in that old belief that is keeping you tied down and anchored to something or someone, and you're shifting that. So be really gentle on yourself, especially if you're doing this work, because it's not easy work and it will build over time. You know, a bonfire starts with a little flicker of light and it builds as you add things to the fire, as you have patience and build up on that little ember. So again, it's going to take time, but it is there. And we do have the number 8, which can speak to those cycles. It can speak to manifestations as well, and stepping into abundance. Next one we have is celebration. Enjoy your victories with others. So we do have another number 8 here and another number 4. This really feels like there could be a celebration at the home, or with friends, or with people you're connected to. Now, this could be a birthday. It could simply mean that you are going to be connecting with people on a more social level and celebrating something. This could be something big, like a birthday or an anniversary, but it could also be the little small wins that you are experiencing in this process. That's kind of what I'm picking up. And I feel there's some kind of foundations that are being rebuilt here. And so there is going to be a lot to celebrate, even if those wins are small, even if you have setbacks, because you are doing this work. And we have number 51, which is the mirror of this temptation card with the number 15. And I did mention I was seeing number 5 in my mind's eye, and we have it here in the devil card, the temptation card, and here in the transmutation card, which also speaks to healing, shifting energy, emotion, or appearance. So you could be doing all of the above in this process. There could be things that you would like to wear but never had the confidence, and now you're starting to wear those things. And I share that as I'm wearing something new. It was a belated Christmas gift that got stuck in the mail, and I'm just absolutely in love with it. And it's something new that I never thought I would wear, but I now have the confidence to wear this with pride. So there's something that you're wearing, whether that is a physical object or you stepping out into the world and wearing this new belief with so much pride. You've transmuted some kind of pain, hurt, or sorrow in this process of cutting the chains loose and breaking yourself free. And I'm not sure if that's a moth or a butterfly, but either way, there's a breaking free of something. And I love that this is the mirror opposite of this, because it's like you started something and you got into the challenge with the number 5, you're starting to see changes, and then you're back to square one again. But you're back to square one with a new wisdom, with new energy, with new emotions, beliefs, feelings, and a new perspective. So that is really beautiful, Soul Path 1. I would love to hear so far how this is resonating for you, because this is really amazing, whatever work you're doing here. So let's get into even more detail for the month ahead. We're going to look at challenges, opportunities, obstacles, and achievements, and guidance. And then we will close out with an oracle card. So for Soul Path 1 Spirit, let's look at the challenge or opportunity of February here. We have another number 8 with the 8 of Pentacles in the reverse. And when it's in the reverse, this means that this isn't external work, this is internal work that you're doing. You are looking within to do the work that you need to do. So I feel like this is both a challenge and an opportunity here. And I feel like that's just reflecting exactly what we were talking about. And again, it's looking back at doing something until it's complete, or you feel it's complete, or you feel like you've reached some kind of perfection. But this is masterful work. This isn't something that you do once and hope for results. This is something that you continue to show up to do. And I feel like you're doing it. And you're not necessarily worried about perfection, although that could be part of the challenge, is that you might be really hard on yourself. Don't forget that when we are breaking old habits, patterns, beliefs, behaviors, it will take time. And we will have setbacks. We will have triggers that throw us back into those old ways. But it's about catching yourself and putting yourself back on the right track so that we're not getting stuck in those old ways again. It's not about those triggers and having those setbacks. It's about whether or not we stay there. So there's a phrase that's coming through with that. And I can't remember specifically what it is at this point in time, but failure isn't failing. Failing is not getting back up after failure, or something along those lines. You can let me know in the comments what it is exactly. Okay, backwards here. But that's what I'm feeling. So not to give yourself too much of a hard time when you do see setbacks, or when you have a bad day and you're feeling off and you're not feeling that confident, and then you get down because you've done so much work and you were feeling good for so long, and now you've had this setback or this trigger or something from your past came back. It's not about the setback. It's about how are you going to handle that setback? How are you going to move through that and move forward to get you back on the path of where you would like to go? Again, going back to that hope card, that North Star. So let's look at the obstacle and achievement for February. Obstacle and achievement. Okay, so we have the Ace of Cups. There's a new feeling here that would like to come through, and we did see that in this card here with the transmutation. So the inner work might bring up a lot of emotions, and that's okay. It might bring back a lot of shame, a lot of sorrow, a lot of sadness, because there's something here that potentially you lost, or you didn't have the opportunity to have because somebody may have taken it from you, interrupted you in some way, so you couldn't have this experience or feel an experience in fullness because of maybe somebody's attitude or somebody's behavior or somebody's words. Something got possibly taken away from you, and or your emotions were suppressed, so you weren't able to fully feel in certain moments in life. And so there's a new feeling that would like to come through, which is an obstacle, but it's also an achievement because it's feeling those emotions and not seeing them as a bad thing. This is part of that transmutation process of really sitting in those feelings and grieving what you need to grieve, even though you lost it maybe many years ago and you're unable to go back to that to fix or to change something. You have to move through that grieving. You have to let go of that shame or that guilt that you've been carrying around, and let those emotions from that experience to fully feel them and to not suppress them. This is the time to dive into that and to not block the flow of those emotions. So you might be feeling like you don't want to feel them. It feels silly to feel them after all this time, but it's required in order for you to feel something new, to create space for new feelings, for new energy. So going with the flow, whether that is in the month of January or in your emotional body as you work through some things, that's going to be important. And it's also an achievement. Just because you have bad feelings or uncomfortable feelings doesn't mean it's not an achievement, especially if you haven't been here before and you haven't been able to healthily express your feelings in the past. Guidance. Okay, So the moon is your guidance. And this is a soft light that is going to guide you, the soft light within, your intuition that comes through, your flowing of those emotions, your allowance. The moon is very feminine energy, and it also dictates the tides and the oceans, the emotions. So there is a suggestion to move through the darkness with the light, even though you don't see it in its fullness yet. There's some conditioned beliefs that are being challenged, and it's butting up against your intuition. This is how we move through to new landscapes and to learn new things, as we have the Page of Swords on the bottom of the deck, is to move through that discomfort and understand what's an illusion and what's real in this present moment for us now, and how we want to move forward. What is it that we want to believe, and what is it that we believed before that is simply not true, that is simply something that was told to us that we're now trying to break down. So while this could be a dark moment, it's okay, because it is forcing us or encouraging us to find our own light, to move with our own light, to listen and hear what our inner voice, our inner wisdom, our intuition is trying to tell us. And I feel like this is big energy for February. This is somebody's doing a lot of big work, and it is going to teach you things that you have never really understood fully until now. So I don't think what you see, and this might come out near the end of February, is that you're learning new things, and to not speed through this and jump over it, because you may end up finding yourself back at the start. It's about being slow and steady, about being mindful, about being really compassionate and gentle with yourself, and being really open to whatever wants to come through and however it wants to come through. Now, I just saw the Hermit card on the bottom underneath the Page of Swords here, so there could be some physical introspection that you need to do, a pulling away from your world for a moment, and that doesn't mean to hunker down in your bed for the month of February. This is finding moments of quietude, of solitude, of getting rid of the distractions and the to-dos, and just focusing on the internal work that you have worked so hard to achieve and to do up until this point, and to find space to move through emotions and to break down certain beliefs. Sometimes that is self-care, and this feels like self-care because you are opening yourself up to the tough stuff, to look at the sticky stuff and to see what you're truly made of, and that is going to bring through a confidence that cannot be broken. Okay, so we're going to do some clarifiers now, just to get a little more detail, and then we will finish up with an oracle card. 8 of Pentacles. Why is this in reverse? What's it all about? Aha, another 8. It's about cycles of thought, patterns of thinking, mindset, but also this could be or could have been influenced from somebody in your life or a situation that made you feel stuck. It's about you unsticking yourself. And that is the work that you are doing, is you are unsticking yourself not only through the efforts that you're making to move through this, but you're shifting your mindset. You are learning new ways of thinking in maybe more abundant ways. I have a feeling it has to do with your beliefs about yourself, of what you can achieve, of what you can accomplish, of who you are at the core. There's something being shaken up here, but there are 3 8s in your reading so far. So I definitely feel like it's patterns you're looking at and cycles that you're just done with. Ace of Cups in reverse. 6 of Swords in the upright. So you are moving away from stagnant emotions, of old emotions, of emotions that continually overwhelm you or continually trigger you and keep you stuck. So again, it's about processing those things and moving through the choppy waters, maybe even in the dark, and possibly with some assistance. You could look to elders or ancestors for guidance. You could look to somebody who is older and wiser that has possibly been through this, that can maybe assist you. But again, you're releasing yourself enough that you can start to see progress and movement, because we go from the 8 of Swords to the 6 of Swords. So there's a little bit more freedom enough to understand that I'm not stuck. It's just about my perspective or how I'm thinking about something here that is keeping me there. So I feel like you're really starting to understand something here on a deeper level. There's some new wisdom coming through. You're following your intuition a little bit more because you are opening yourself up to the emotions of whatever this challenge may have been for you. What is this moon? What is this moon? So we have the 7 of Wands. There may be moments where you might feel like giving up. Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck here too. So there's new insights, new inspirations, new ideas, new thought patterns being formed here. It's all fresh energy, mental clarity. But going back to the 7 of Wands in reverse, there's a feeling of, I don't want to do this. I want to maybe give up, or I don't have the energy or the fortitude to move through this. Yes, you do. And I see that in all of the cards that came out prior to that. And I see that you are a hard worker and that you do the work in a very consistent and steady way. So to not give up, especially if somebody in your life is giving you a hard time or maybe convincing you that this work is all for naught and giving you some kind of pushback. Don't allow that to happen is part of this guidance, because you do have, the 7 of Wands wouldn't come out if you didn't have the strength, the power, the energy, the will to push beyond these circumstances. There's a lack of confidence in the 7 of Wands in reverse. And it's like you feel like if you get any opposition or any pushback, and that could be energetic pushback or pushback from somebody in the 3D, where they question what you're doing and why and who are you and why are you doing this, then it's like you feel like you'll just crumble or that you can't stand up for yourself. This is going to help you feel more confident in fighting for what you believe in, what you truly believe in your heart of hearts, not what somebody has told you to believe or what was impressed upon you, possibly in your youth. Whew. It's a lot. Soul Path 1. Let's take a peek at your final oracle messages to end your reading. Soul Path 1, please. Cut your losses. I almost wonder if that's why the swords came out underneath the deck, is because this is a moment to look at the losses that you're hanging on to that you need to officially let go of. And those losses could be part of those beliefs, part of a story that you've involved yourself in that is no longer present in your life, but there's artifacts hanging around. So it's almost like you have to cut out what's no longer working and never will. Maybe again, those cycles are coming through. There's something or someone that you keep trying with. There's a loyalty coming through. And I feel like this card is coming out to say there needs to be a new way of doing something, a new decision that needs to be made. Maybe you do have to cut some things out of your life, and that could go back to this card here. So what are those losses that you need to cut out so that you can free your energy for what's next, what's new? I feel there is going to be a lot of new. And watch for signs. Follow the moon. It's interesting. I'm drawn to follow the moon. And so it's like almost like a refocus, because we have the moon card here as well. It's like follow that soft light, follow that inner guidance, follow that intuition, and stay open to seeing the signs that light you up, seeing the signs that this isn't working and I have to now let it go. And being really discerning about that. It might take you some time. I feel like February might be a month where it's just a little more work that you're doing, maybe stepping into this a little bit, but I don't think there's going to be huge sweeping changes, although there is going to be a lot of deep internal work that you're going to be involved in the month of February. But just to stay open-minded, open to learning, open to making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, rather than being too hard on yourself, and understanding that you can do this. You can do this hard thing that I feel you've wanted to do for some time, but you're ready now to make it official. So this is what I have for you, my dear Soul Path 1. I would love to hear in the comments which messages resonated with you, which of the imagery may have resonated with you. I always find that interesting. And if you'd like to come back and tell me how this is all playing out for you, I'd love to hear that as well. So this is what I have. With gratitude, I'm sending you my love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 2. Welcome into your reading. So you chose the Tarot Over the Rainbow with the Dragon Stone. I feel like there's someone in the collective here that is needing to or is already finding ways to feel more grounded. So there could have been someone here who is or was dealing with a lot of anxiety. So there's a practice of grounding coming through. And I'm not sure if that's through breath work, somatic movement, yoga, meditation. But there's some form of health and healing and wellness that is being forged or has been forged because of some kind of challenging circumstance or a mindset that needs to be shifted or wants to be shifted. Maybe you are going through some healing practices that could be in the form of Reiki or reflexology or hypnosis. Something maybe being unearthed in these processes. Let's see what else comes through today. So before we get into the tarot, let's get into some oracle cards. First, we're going to look at how you're ending the month of January, what energy you are ending the month with, and how that might influence your February. Soul Path 2, please. There could be somebody here that works with plants as well, so a herbologist or animals. Okay, so we have the Three of Cups, rejoice in celebration. This is a lovely energy. Maybe there's something here that you are celebrating, or maybe you are connecting with new social circles or have connected with new social circles in the month of January, and that's kind of how you're entering February. And we have Patience, Temperance card at the bottom of the deck with the number 14. So there's some trial and error that you've had to move through. some patience maybe in fostering some form of relationships or social networks or communities. It's like you're trying to find where you fit. And I almost wonder if that's part of the celebration, is that you have found a community or a group or a network that really feels aligned. You enjoy spending time with them. You enjoy celebrating successes. It's almost like, even if it's people that you work with, it's like you have found some sort of friendship or camaraderie with those people that you work with, to the point where you can go out for drinks with them after work or on weekends or something, because there's aligned hobbies, there's aligned interests outside of what you do in the day-to-day. I feel like this has taken you quite some time, though. Now, this could also be that in January you had some kind of celebration, whether that is somebody getting pregnant or having a baby, someone having a birthday, or some kind of milestone like an anniversary. Something here has taken a lot of time to foster and nurture. So that's why I come back to those heart-centered relationships, family or friendship groups. Or maybe this is completely... could be different, we'll see. But there's definitely some expansion happening in the realm of personal relationships. And I feel like it's taken some time for you to foster or nurture that. So let's take a peek at some themes for the month of February. So some main themes that want to come through for Soul Path 2 for the month of February, please. Those two, and one more, please. Just one. This is a new deck, so they're a little bit sticky. I might have to pull one if... Oh, there we go. Okay. I don't have to pull one. So let's see what you have here. We have soup. Let things simmer. Okay. So what I'm getting from this is I'm coming back to this card here. As you're finding your way to new groups, new soul families, new friendships, maybe even a different way of interacting with family, I feel like you have to not rush things, and it's coming back to the patience card as well. It's like you're adding new ingredients to your life, and instead of forging ahead and doing things really fast and putting things on boil, this is time to really let things play out, let things simmer, let things slowly unfold. In order for you to gain the most nutrients or the most flavor, the most delight I'm hearing from these people or these experiences. So again, coming back to patience card and really settling into the idea of, I don't want to say obsessive energy, but I'm kind of getting like when you find some new people or a new group, it's very exciting. So you might want to spend a lot of time with these people, or maybe it's one person and you want to get to know them on a deep level really fast and just form a really strong connection with them. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think Spirit is coming through here to say, take it slow and steady, especially when it comes to new people, new relationships. You want to make sure that you're getting to know them slowly so that you have time to process and really experience them and the dynamic in a way that you never have in the past. And also see where the challenges might lie, because I'm feeling that there may be some in the collective that moved through or moved into relationships, whether that's platonic or romantic, relatively quickly, and they bypassed a lot of the challenges, or they bypassed a lot of things that could have been addressed early. But it got complicated later on because those things weren't addressed. So I think this is how you build strong foundations, is to move slowly, see where the opportunities lie, tackle the challenges as they come. And there's a new approach coming through with that. I also feel like these new people that are entering your life are going to be part of your foundation moving forward. So whether that is a team in a company that you're working for, or in your business, or whether that's new friendships or support groups or networks that you're connecting with, there's going to be some really strong connections here that are going to help you expand in some way in the long term. So we have cut off. That's interesting. Let go of what no longer serves you. So this could come in tandem with meeting new people, is that you're cutting other people or things away. Cutting away things that, this could be thoughts, this could be the way you approach something as well. We just talked about that. Of doing things differently is the feeling that I'm getting here. And letting go of the old. And that could be different for everybody. And that may not have to do with friendships or approaches. But you may need to spend some time thinking about that, coming back to that patience card. This is about pruning and making sure that the bush or the flowers don't go all squirrely. This is about keeping things pared back so that the plant or the bush has concentrated energy for what is working well for that plant, rather than expending energy in all different directions and maybe not blooming as brightly or as fully as it could because the energy is too sparse. So it's about paring back, it's about pruning, it's about cutting off what's not working to really free up your energy. And that could have something to do with the social situation as well, where you like to be surrounded by lots of friends, and that's lovely, but there could be some in the mix that might not be quite aligned, or maybe you don't enjoy spending as much time with them, or maybe they get on your nerves, or they cause too much drama. Use your imagination, creativity. So this could mean getting a little creative with the process. And this is also magician energy, so really considering the intention of what you're doing, of how you're approaching something, and why you're approaching it in a certain way. Because there may be some new ways of doing something, some creative ways of working through challenges, or creative ways of finding a new social circle. But again, it's going to take patience. And we have 3 ones here in these cards, 1, 1, 1. And we have 2 4s. So that just tells me that there's some fresh things, some fresh starts, some fresh energy coming in the month of February. And they are part of laying the foundations for your months ahead, your year ahead. So there's a mindfulness coming through with this all, and using all the resources at your disposal, whether that's talents, whether that's skills, whether that is your creativity as well, maybe finding yourself in creative social circles and connecting with people that way, or taking up a hobby or a workshop that's creative where you can meet new people. There's something about stepping out of your current zone of, I don't want to say comfort, familiarity, and getting out to add more ingredients to the pot. To prevent stagnation is what I'm hearing, and to build up off of. Okay, so let's take a peek at challenges, opportunities, obstacles, achievements, and guidance. So let's look at the challenge first. Challenge, opportunity for Soul Path. Getting a ringing in my right ear. So I feel like the challenge and opportunity It might be more of a challenge, because when I said challenge, my right ear started ringing. So Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. This is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity, but it could be more of a challenge than anything. This is we talked about grounding energy at the very beginning of the reading, and this is very ungrounded energy in the reversal, because there could be an overlooking of what it is that you need to feel safe, comforted, secure within your environment, whether that's work or home, in your body, in your relationships as well. There could be a misalignment of values as well, especially as it pertains to social circles or the people that you're kind of simmering around. And so there could be a need to adjust something here. As it pertains to your finances, this could be not feeling secure in your finances as well. And that might be something that you have to really take note of and take charge of in the month of February, but it is a challenge, because if we meet these challenges and see them as opportunities, then we can make changes. So there could be a need to maybe not socialize as much with certain people in order to save some money and to feel more financially secure in the month of February. This could also be to nurture the relationships that feel safe and secure and loving and supportive for you. This could simply just mean taking better care of your body, your physical body, maybe your home, placing yourself in environments that feel supportive. So what is the obstacle and achievement in the month of February for Soul Path 2? Okay, so we have the Hierophant, and the obstacle and the achievement is possibly to learn some new things here, to step into a higher wisdom, maybe step into and connect in with your higher self or a higher knowledge of some kind. This could be learning new routines or forming new habits. This could be also breaking those habits if we're talking about obstacles, about being in the same routine and maybe wanting to see change, wanting to break out of our current environment and wanting to mix things up a bit, but we're stuck in patterns or routines or ways of doing something. So could be possibly breaking free from those, but it could also mean to find a stronger routine or tradition or maybe practice that allows us to feel a little more grounded, a little more rooted. There could be something spiritual that you're connecting to in the month of February as well. So there's a higher wisdom, a deeper wisdom coming through, but that could be through spiritual practices and things that you show up for consistently. So going back to the opening message of doing meditation or yoga or somatic movement or breath work, it's like there's something that you're committing yourself to here, maybe even marriage, which invites in new routines, new habits, and that requires patience as well. And you could do it in community, which could be why the Rejoice in Celebration is here, because you're among people who are on a similar path. So guidance. 10 of Swords. Okay. To me, this is the cutting off of letting go what no longer serves you. There's some things here that I think you're done with. Could be people, could be situations, it could be environments, whatever is making you feel ungrounded, unrooted, insecure. I feel like you are trying to find what makes you feel stable. There's a stability, and that stability comes from grounding yourself within yourself. And I think this 10 of Swords is you coming to the realization that this thing that has been hanging around, that is maybe making me feel insecure or uprooted or uncomfortable even. It's not working for me anymore, and it's even possibly causing me pain. So it's time to really look at that and to possibly cut my losses and officially let it go here. Whatever this is has reached its peak, and it can no longer hurt you, but it came at a cost. So again, I think that's related, this higher knowledge, this higher wisdom that you're learning through possibly your own spiritual growth, your own personal growth, and that exploration is going to help you find your ground again. It's going to help you cut ties from things that are no longer serving you and that are occupying your energy in ways that are painful, or that continue to hurt you, or that continue to occupy your mind endlessly and contribute to some kind of suffering. Bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse. So this could have something to do with family. So there could be a need to find new social circles or your soul family because your traditional family or your genetic family is possibly a source of stress for you. And we do have another 10 here. So this tells me that something possibly within the family has created some kind of trauma, pain, heartache, worry, stress, and you're no longer able to bear that weight or bear that pain. So it's about looking at that with a truthful heart and finding some kind of healing, finding yourself in new environments that are supportive, that are comforting, that are healing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that all of the relationships that you have once this healing is done and complete isn't going to have its struggle or its challenges. But to me, this feels very painful. And that's not how relationships should be. It should not make you feel small. It should not affect your well-being in a negative way. It should not affect your health in a negative way. And if it does, there's something amiss that needs to be addressed. Now, because we have Pentacle energy, that could also connect to finances as well. And so there could be something regarding family money. So the money that you share with your partner, your spouse, maybe your children, or your parents. It's almost like there's a cost to staying connected to that, or there's a new way or a new approach to doing something regarding that money. So maybe there's a financial overhaul happening for some of you in the collective here, and it's going to require some kind of discipline and new approach and a strategy to get back up on your feet and feel more financially secure. And it may require you to get a little creative. Okay, I was not ready for that. Let's look at the Queen of Pentacles reverse. What is that about, please, Spirit? It's about your future. Two of Wands. Setting your intention and having a plan and a strategy in place is really going to be helpful. So it's not about sitting in these feelings of insecurity or lack or feeling ungrounded. It's about how do I see this as an opportunity to do something different for my future? What can I do differently? How can I plan and strategize to have different results, to have a different experience? to see beyond the current circumstances and to explore the possibilities, to get a little curious as well, and to find that will, that energy to change the circumstances. So, Hierophant, please. And it's also about choice too, making new choices for your future. And we have the Nine of Wands in reverse. So it might, to me, this is like, it doesn't make sense to persevere on a path that is never going to work. So it's about getting set up with a foundation and find ways to navigate it when things get challenging. Again, coming back to that plan and that strategy, rather than pushing forward in an old way, an old pattern, making the same choices and expecting a different result is what I'm getting with that. So this is a little bit of letting go to lean into a more traditional way of doing something or making decisions, setting yourself up with new knowledge, of deeper knowledge of the circumstance, of the finance, of the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and having patience in that process. I'm not really sure what this is. I feel like there's a couple of different ways that this could unfold for people. So you'll have to let me know in the comments how this is resonating. 10 of Swords, please. Okay. And the Moon in reverse. I think there's been a fear of letting this go for some time. And maybe you have done some work up until now. Oh, there's the Three of Cups again. Okay. So, I think if you haven't experienced this rejoice and celebration, you will. Even though the situation feels a little tense and sticky, and possibly there's some fear or some doubt, I feel like the fear, the anxiety, the discomfort is trying to tell you something and push you into a place that will get you set up for success in the coming months. And that is the celebration that we're seeing here, is that you're expanding and moving beyond this current circumstance, whatever it is. And you're doing it because you're making new choices based on how you want to feel and where you want to go in your future. You no longer want to put effort into something where you're not making any progress. And rather than fear the discomfort, I feel like you're going to step into it reluctantly, but willingly. And maybe you have already done some work with the Moon. It can speak to illusions. I think you're coming to some kind of truth. And the guidance is to see through the illusion that this is all that there is, or this is the only storyline of your life. I feel like there is some new wisdom here, and that just keeps coming through. Because the expansion that you seek, the celebration that you seek, the achievement that you seek, lies just beyond this discomfort, this pain. I feel like you're transmuting some kind of difficulty, some kind of family trauma, maybe even how you spend or save your money. But to me, these two are standing out. This is like gaining the knowledge on the situation to be able to make the new choices. Because once we learn and understand a situation beyond its illusion, beyond our limited perception, then we do better. We choose better, or at least we choose differently. And I think you're going to see that in the month of February. These things are going to bubble to the surface. And rather than seeing them as a story that's keeping you stuck, you're understanding that this is just another ingredient for the soup pot to make it more full, more flavorful, more whole, and nutritious. And that could be in social circles, that could be with finances, that could be with family, and doing things differently within the family dynamic, finding your soul family, but having patience in that process, knowing that it's going to take time to unravel something and welcome something new in. Taking time to get to know this new pathway or this new person. And to also spend moments celebrating the small achievements, even the awareness that you're bringing to a particular situation, because awareness is the key. So let's get a final message for Soul Path 2, please. Finding your ground, rooting yourself back into who you are, into your truth, I feel is going to be part of this celebration. Synchronicity. Okay, and to me, I'm not really seeing the synchronicity. I mean, there could be some synchronicities in this reading. You'll have to let me know in the comments. But to me, what stands out is this clock. Again, coming back to that patience of timing. Timing's everything. And we need time to unearth something, to turn up the soil, to add nutrients back into the soil, to figure out what seeds we want to plant, to really care and nurture that new garden bed over time. And that's what that patience card is about. That's what that simmering soup is about. It's not about throwing everything in the pot, waiting for it to boil, and then having it 20 minutes later. It's about a slow roll. And to me, I feel like there could be some synchronicities that happen along the way that will help guide you towards the right things, the right people. And it's important to listen to your intuition along that pathway, because you could be denying your intuition or passing it off as something non-existent, that, oh, it's just something that I'm thinking or feeling. Start paying attention to that and start looking at the little signs and symbols that you see and translating those. What is that? How does that make me feel? What does that mean? And maybe nothing, it means nothing. But at least if we're bringing awareness to the synchronicities that are happening, then we can bring awareness to other things, like the things that we need to cut away, and the things that are a little more painful, that are no longer serving us, but we carry in the back of our minds. So awareness is key, and that could be step one to that, is awareness of those synchronicities, the signs and the symbols that have meaning for you. And it's not just everyday things, like, oh, I saw a crow today. They would happen in moments where you're thinking about something and something shows up, you know, maybe half an hour later, and you were just thinking about that thing. Or you see a phrase on TV and you happen to read it in a magazine. So again, I think it has more to do with the awareness than the synchronicity or symbol itself. And it also has to do with time, practice, patience, truth. So I think you're coming into a new truth, and whatever this is no longer your truth. I no longer am going to be defined by this pain or held down by this pain. I'm going to transmute it and learn how to do that in a way that is healthy, in a way that is supportive, in a way that maybe is spiritual and not rooted in the tangible, but helps me feel grounded even still. It's an energy. Okay, so, and I just, out of curiosity, the past. And the past could be the social circles. It could be how you've done something in the past. It could be the familial ties. But I do think that there's something here that is being bubbled up in February that you are unearthing to transmute and let go of. So this is what I have for you, my dear Soul Path 2. I do hope that resonated. I'd love to hear the messages that resonated the most, and or any of the imagery that may have stood out to you and why. It's always interesting to hear. Regardless, with gratitude, I'm sending you my love. Stay curious, and we'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 3. Welcome into your reading. You chose the Landscapes Tarot, or Tarot Landscapes, with the clear quartz. I feel like there's something that you're looking for clarity on, or have recently got clarity on. Now, this is also cleansing as well. So clearing something out, you could be doing an early spring clean, quite literally, or you've done a deep clean on your house, or there's something in your life that you're cleaning up. Before I started this Soul Path reading, I also happened to glance at a poster on my wall that says, keep moving forward. So I feel like Spirit's really encouraging you to continue doing whatever it is you're doing in the quest for answers and the quest for clarity, because I feel you are on the right track. You are asking the right questions. You are taking the right actions, and the clarity will come at some point in the near future, possibly in February. We will see. So before we get into the tarot, I want to pull an oracle card to get an energy for you as you close out January and step into February. For Soul Path 3, please. Okay. The Moon card came out in every single one of these readings in different ways, but I feel a lot of people are doing some deep, dark work. And this is internal work. This is looking at their shadow aspects. We do have the Shadow card here. And we do have the Hermit card at the bottom of the deck. 2 Hermits equal 18. So it's almost like 2 people are doing this together, possibly. Looking at their shadow self, maybe going into solitude, going within to look at some deeper, darker stuff, some uncomfortable stuff, some sticky stuff, and trying to have a deeper understanding of who they are, their beliefs, their values, where those came from, and what they believe now, where they'd like to go, and how they would like to approach life. I feel like there's been some changes that have happened, and you are now turning within to seek the answers rather than look to the external. So I think this clarity that you're looking for, you're doing the right things according to the cards. You are looking within, you are looking at the darker parts of self, the uncomfortable parts, the parts that you don't necessarily like, that maybe you've rejected before, because you're understanding it in a way that you never have before, and you're not judging yourself. You're releasing the shame and the guilt that comes from whatever feelings you find in the depths and the darkness. And you are looking at those beliefs and to see if they're conditioned beliefs that you've been told over and over and over again, or if they're actually beliefs that you truly believe about yourself. And are they your actual truth coming from within, coming from the heart space? Wisdom is something that I'm hearing. So it's a wisdom that comes from the shadow, wisdom that comes from solitude and that introspection that happens when we go within, when we get rid of the distractions and the to-dos and really do that work, as hard as it might be. So there's some kind of possibly an end point that you got to where something may have come to a natural end, or you're just feeling like you're at the peak and you would like to do more, to experience more, but there's a certain part of you that is keeping you held back. So this is an effort to look at that and to release the ties that bind, to maybe find your North Star and to step into what are my dreams. Now that I've had maybe some achievement, I need to have new dreams, but I don't know what they are yet, because maybe my beliefs have changed, or my trajectory or my path has changed. And now I have to kind of look elsewhere to figure out what my dreams are. What do I want to achieve? How do I want the next 10 years to look or feel? Crown chakra, there's a big connection to your higher self, maybe your spirit guides, or just your spirituality in general, and really opening yourself up to a bigger energy, maybe a higher purpose or a higher expression of who you are and who you would like to become. So that's a really cool energy. Following your intuition is going to be really important for that kind of work. And also finding support in that. We don't necessarily want to do all of this work alone. For some instances, we may need some support as we dive into the depths and the darkness. We might find things that are triggering, that are difficult to process. And when we do, we want to make sure that we have certain things in place that we can process that. We can move through that in a safe and healthy way. So that's for some, not all. And we also don't want to cut ourselves off from the world either in this process. So we have to make sure that we're not getting into a depressive state, because I'm getting a little bit of that as well. This can be heavy, heavy work. So again, if you feel the need to find support, or if you're finding it really difficult to go through this on your own, to please find people that might be able to help you with that. So let's get into some main themes for the month of February for Soul Path 3, please. Okay. We have 3 cards here. Let's see what they are. Mindset. Find a different perspective. This is exactly what you set out to do, and this is exactly what is happening. You are shifting your mindset. You are changing the way you think. There could be some here where plant medicine is going to be really helpful for them, especially dealing with trauma. So you can explore that on your own. Gabor Mate has a lot of information on that if you are interested. But I really feel like connecting to earth medicine, plant medicine, could possibly be helpful in unearthing things that might be quite difficult. But again, that's always done in a professional setting, and that's always done in a very safe setting. So to not do this on your own. But I do feel overall that there's a perspective shift that is happening with this introspection, with looking within, with looking into the depths. And again, it's inspiring, but it's also going to be challenging, and it's going to create change that you may not expect and you may not be used to. So it's like you're stepping into when you're stepping into a new mindset, the whole world changes. Even the way you look at yourself changes. The way you dress may change. And so it's almost like you're stepping into a new you in a way. So it's going to possibly take a little bit of time to get used to as well, which also might be uncomfortable. Exciting, but uncomfortable. Okay, so we have love, true feelings. I think that you are going to find true feelings for maybe your past. You're going to find what's true to you. It may not necessarily be about another person, although it could be. And funnily enough, February is all about the month of love. I think this is more self-love for most of you than anything, and really discovering, uncovering what your true feelings are about you, your life, your circumstances, your experiences, your beliefs, and maybe how that has played into relationships as well. So there could be a connection with how you're showing up in relationships and how your mindset, or maybe how certain beliefs have navigated you through relationships. Because maybe you'll show up in a different way once you have worked through some of these things. And who knows, maybe you do find a new love or a new romantic partner because of that. You could be a single person and have been looking for the right relationship, but maybe have had a lot of bad experiences in the past. So you're kind of looking at that from a self point of view. And why do I keep picking the same person? Why do I keep finding myself in these relationships? So rather than trying to find someone new, you're looking within to figure out what that story, what that belief, what that pattern is finding the root of that so that you can get clarity and make new choices moving forward. And time, divine timing is at play. So whatever you are working on, it's going to take time, it's going to take patience for something new to grow. So I feel patience is part of this process, but also divine timing, especially if you are looking for a romantic partnership. Don't rush that process, because this work that you're doing, it's very deep work, it's very heavy work, it's very difficult work. We cannot rush that. So take your time through this. And what's interesting is we don't have a lot of high numbered cards. We have 15, 12, and 13. So I do feel like this is a very slow progression of whatever it is that you're going to experience. So you're going to be getting a little more of that slow progression in the month of February. And I feel like you just need to give yourself time to explore, to process, to observe even, and to not rush into anything, not rush to find answers. And I know being in that in between, that kind of blank canvas, can be really uncomfortable, because we, as humans, we want to have something to forge towards and have a pattern so that we know what to expect. But there's going to be, I think, a time of discomfort until such time that that clarity is 100%. So be graceful and patient with yourself. So let's look at the cards for the month of February for Soul Path 2. And I think you're the only soul path that I'm actually shuffling the tarot for. So again, it's that mindfulness, that patience with the process, and making sure there's a thoroughness coming through as well. So being thorough, not overlooking anything. So let's look at the challenge and or opportunity for Soul Path 3, please. Challenge and opportunity. 2 of Cups. We got more heart-centered connections here. Now, for I think the bulk of you, this is about self-love and having more love for self so that you can show up in relationships, in experiences, even in challenges, and not have them shake you as much when maybe things go sideways, but also in a higher expression, so that you're not moving from a place of trauma and pain and old beliefs that are no longer serving you. This is showing up as a whole in a romantic dynamic or even a friendship dynamic as well. This is both your divine masculine and divine feminine working in harmony. So you know when to take action, you know when to allow and to receive, and you welcome both in equal measure. And you accept both in equal measure. So there's a value that you're placing on this wholeness, on this oneness within self. Both a challenge and an opportunity. So, obstacle, achievement. Now, because it's the 2 of Cups, I will say that this could be a relationship that you are trying to move through or be better in, or maybe understand on a deeper level. You're currently in a relationship, but you're trying to do some personal work within that relationship and trying to find a harmony, more balance. Now that will take 2. So, again, candle just went out. So this could mean that there's an ending of the way you've done something in the past, and there's a reinvigoration of something. I say that as the Judgment card comes out, but before that, going back to the Solitude, where 2 hermits make this Moon card, Number 18, again, I'm feeling that there's two people here, or possibly two sides of you, where it's the divine masculine and the divine feminine being healed at the same time. Or there's two people within a romantic partnership that are doing this work together. And that could be why the Two of Cups is here, is that there's an opportunity for both of you to do some kind of work here to improve the relationship and move beyond the adversity, whether that's individually or as a couple. So the Judgment card, rising above the ashes. Phoenix rising. This card is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is the great renewer. It is power of the people. And so there's some kind of empowerment that is happening and a rising above what was. And that could have been quite challenging. Whatever it may be, it could have been quite dark. And both of these cards are night cards, or at least very dark cards. So there could be some in the collective here who are moving through quite a dark and difficult experience in life, and they are transcending. They are transmuting this pain and healing. They are hearing a higher calling, and they're willingly moving towards that, even though they know that it's going to be difficult and challenging. There is beauty that is on the other side of that, and I think that you see that. And we do have 2 tens, which again is that duality that's coming through, but this is also the card before the World card. So this is something almost ready to be complete. So I feel like the month of February, it might get harder before it gets, I don't want to say easier, but it gets a little more light, and you start seeing the results, you start seeing the changes. So both an obstacle and achievement is to step into this challenge, this change. Let's look at some guidance. The World. And that did come in the upright first, but then it flipped over in the reversal. So we have the World, which is the last card in the major arcana. This is big stuff. This is a big cycle ending for you, but it's not quite ready to complete, because there's something here that you have to do and move through, and I feel like this might be the last step, is this Judgment before the World turns upright. We'll get clarifiers. 3 of Swords in the reverse. Yeah, so there's healing happening here. The heart is opening again in a way that doesn't feel vulnerable or unsafe. You are actually mending the heart space, possibly mending a relationship, or mending your heart for a new relationship to enter, if that's something that you're looking for. But there's past heartbreaks and possibly pains and traumas that you are moving through. Not easy stuff. That could be why the World is in reverse, is because this will take more time than you expect or think. So give yourself a little wiggle room here, because you are going to need a little more time to move through this. This could also mean that there's a little bit of a setback before you start moving forward and seeing progress again. But don't get stuck in the setback. Remember why you're doing this work. Remember and bring awareness to where you would like to go, rather than where you're coming from and the setback itself. How are you going to get back up and get back onto the right path? And that was, I believe, part of Soul Path's. Soul Path, I think it was 1? No, 2? I can't remember. Sorry. They all blend into one after, when I do them all in a row. Okay, so let's get clarifiers. 2 of Cups. Strongest. Let me take the strongest energy. Foundations will take time. Okay, so you're building foundations here, and they will take time. New foundations. Rome wasn't built in a day, is what I'm hearing, but you know, there's a lot of, we need to build a solid foundation, and that takes time. We don't want to speed through that, because then the foundations are unstable. So I feel like that's part of this process, is that there are foundations being or a foundation being laid, and that has to be solid first before we can progress. And again, that could be why the world is in reverse here. So the King of Wands in the reverse, which kind of means that maybe you were feeling controlled in previous relationships. Maybe you weren't feeling, maybe there was not, maybe you felt passion at one point, but the passion died quite quickly, or you felt like the passion was an illusion or it wasn't real. Maybe you felt unconfident or unable to create change, or maybe express yourself in the way that you needed to in relationships in the past. Or maybe if there is no relationship here that you are connecting to, then this could be with self and not really honoring your divine masculine, your creativity, your willpower, your confidence, your leadership, to be able to lead yourself somewhere. So there's a lack of confidence here with this King in reverse. And that could be because of past connections, whether that is romantic, friendship, or familial. But there's an I'm not good enough coming through. I'm not good enough for love. I'm not good enough to be with the person of a certain vibe or status or character. Definitely some self-esteem and lack of confidence issues coming through here, maybe even some self-doubt. So what is this Judgment? And I think that has to be cleared in order for you to officially step into new energy. What is this Judgment? Strongest. The Star in reverse. There is a feeling of hopelessness here, a lack of not being able to see where you're going next. Maybe you don't have any dreams that you'd like to aspire to or would like to attain. And I think that's all the more reason why you are moving through and getting more knowledge about who you are and discovering different parts of yourself, because you're not really sure what's next. And maybe that kind of scares you a little. You wish, and maybe you have known your direction for some time and you followed that path, but it's no longer working or it's no longer aligning. And I feel like you are trying to find your North Star, and there's a hopelessness that comes through with this obstacle. Like, I don't know how I'm going to transcend this. I don't know how I can move beyond it. So it's fostering trust in your creativity, in who you are, building that confidence back up. I do think that is a huge part of this. And figuring out where the confidence fell away, or why don't I feel good enough? Where does that come from? What is the story that I tell myself? What are the beliefs that come up when I think about that? Because I think that that's sort of feeding the hopelessness, is that, and kind of everything else moving forward, is that when you don't have the confidence or the courage or feel like you can lead yourself, you have the resources and the ability to lead yourself to bigger things, then that really hinders our progress. It really hinders how much we're able to achieve. And it can really fizzle our dreams, our big dreams. So when we look at moving above and beyond where we're currently at, our current circumstance or our current feeling, there's this gap between where I am, not knowing where I want to go, but knowing I want to not be in this place anymore because it's not helpful and it's an energy that I feel I'm moving beyond. But there's a huge gap between. It's kind of like you have to fill the gaps in order to figure out where your North Star is. So this is that part of the small little step to get there, is doing that work of rebuilding your self-esteem, that foundation, because that foundation, that self-worth, that energy that you need for this journey forward is going to help you eventually find your North Star, to figure out what your dreams are, what your aspirations are, what your wishes are. but you have to move through it in order to discover it. It's going to be a discovery and not something that is going to come to you. It's going to be a buildup of knowledge and a buildup over time. So the world in reverse. Why is this in reverse? You have to not fear the big stuff, the big dreams you once had and maybe have lost. You can't fear stepping into your power, stepping into leadership, even if that isn't in a career or a business. I feel like this is not the time to play small. This is the time to think big and to really step into your wholeness and understand that you are worthy of the career, of the dream, of the relationship that you're seeking. I think you're going to discover that. But again, it's something you uncover along the way. Nine of Swords in reverse. We like that in reverse. Because this is about all the stresses, all the worries, all the things that occupy your mind that aren't helpful. These things aren't helping you move towards your destiny or your destination. These things are only clouding your judgment, fogging the way forward, having you question and doubt. And that's not to say we need to move through this with reckless abandon and to not consider the things that we need to consider on a day-to-day to keep us healthy or safe or financially secure. We must do those things, but also do those little tiny steps to get us closer to where we would like to be, whatever that is. And I feel like the stress and worry has kept you in possibly a mindset that hasn't been healthy for you. So I think that is going to really help this journey here. And possibly is the reason why the world is in reverse, is because there's a mindset shift. We talked about that. That is happening or will happen or needs to happen in order to officially put something to a close and to find that freedom, that creativity, that confidence, that playfulness and curiosity, and the possibility. We have to risk letting go of the old story, letting go of the worry, and catching ourselves in that worry. Catching ourselves when we're stressing about something we can't control, or worrying about what if this happens, what if that happens. Easier said than done. I am aware. I have this issue myself, but I'm finding that when a worry comes up, I ask it, is this true? Do I believe it to be true? Is this helpful? Can I change it? And if I can't do anything about the situation that I'm worrying about, and I'm doing my best, then I have to let go of that worry. Worry is not a helpful situation unless there's some action that I can take to change it, to shift it. So the worry mindset, the things that have cycled in your mind that haven't really changed the circumstances or the people or the mindset, I really think the mindset is going to be a huge factor. And I think this confidence, this self-doubt is also going to be a huge factor. This healing that you're moving through is also going to be a huge factor in this journey. There's a lot of things going on here, kind of all at once, and that's okay. So don't worry about trying to tackle everything. It's about focusing on one thing at a time. And whatever you feel is most important, do that. 5 of Wands is at the bottom of the deck here, which tells me that this is going to be a little uncomfortable. This is going to be a little bit challenging. There's going to be competing needs when it comes to maybe your life and the things that you're working through, or maybe there's multiple factors that you're looking at during this exploration into the darkness and the depths in this introspection. And you could also feel like there's multiple ways to tackle this, so it could be a little overwhelming as well, where you are kind of seeing different modalities, or maybe there's multiple modalities that you're exploring at this time, and that's okay. I feel like there could be multiple ways to work through this, but you're going to have to figure out what works the best and kind of stick with that. But understand that this challenge, these changes, are going to take effort, and they're going to take time, and they're going to take a lot of self-love. And self-love is not a feeling, it is an action. So how do you show up every day and care for your mind, care for your body, care for your soul? And what actions are you taking in order to do that to the best of your ability? There could also be some disagreements with the Five of Wands as well, where because these changes you're making within self all of a sudden gets you out of sync with certain people in your life. So there could be somebody challenging you of, why are you doing this? What's happening? Why are you changing your mind? Why are you taking this action? Why are you doing this or that? That's okay, because maybe they don't need to understand, and maybe you don't need to justify why you're doing it, because the reasons why you're doing it is for your own personal and self-growth, and that should be enough for people around you to support you in that. But of course, I know that that's not as cut and dry either. But we have to do our best, and that is a message that continues to just keep coming through. So, final message for Soul Path 3. Go for it. So there's your confirmation of whatever you're doing. Just go for it. And I get very Phoenix rising from the ash here too. Rising above the adversity and the challenge, reaching for the sky, going big, being radiant in the process, being confident. And look at that, having courage. This is very lioness energy. We have the tiger here, the King of Wands. This King of Wands energy wants to come through for you, to encourage you to be brave in this process, to be courageous, to not be afraid of the obstacles, because you have what it takes to overcome them. You have the skills, the abilities, the curiosity, and you will gain the understanding and the clarity to know what you need to do to move forward. It is a process. All the more reason why I think the time card came out for you is because it will take time, but it's going to be up to you to take that action and to move down that path. And I think February is going to continue you down this path, and it's going to bring in a lot of healing for you in that process. So be encouraged, Soul Path 3. I think you are on your way to some really good places. So this is what I have for you, my dear Soul Path 3. Let me know which messages resonated with you today, and even what images stood out to you. I'd love to hear that in the comment section below. And with gratitude, I'm sending you my love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading.